Hello there everyone and welcome back, and Happy New Year's to all even, since we are now done with 2020 and I want to really believe there are some good possibilities in the future for Battlefleet Gothic, since it is getting close to that 2-year period before, Armada 1 and Armada 2 was announced. So I like to think if Tindalos has been working on another sequel, we may be due for an announcement down the road pretty soon. COVID delays notwithstanding, of course. But with that said, we've actually had a good surplus of players during the winter sale, and I think part of that was more due to I seen pop-ups for like Mandalore Gaming, which is a big channel I suppose that did a review on Battlefleet Gothic 2. So it's possible a lot of the new players are coming in because of that. And of course the winter sale certainly helped, so I was trying to think on what would be a good fleet to help pair up against the newer players, and really, outside of the really meme type of fleets like my Orc Rocks and maybe, my auxiliary fleet type of Tau, I decided to go back to an old favorite of mine in the Lance-centric type of Imperial Navy fleet. Because in all honesty, this fleet would probably do a lot better if I were to downgrade the Apocalyse to another Armageddon for more lances and a lot more concentrate type of weaponry, and by that I mean having extra ramming spurs and more torpedoes, and a little bit extra points for more frigates, which is never bad for this type of fleet, since it does rely heavily on long range, and when we do get in close range combat, I'm not really relying on macro cannons or my weaponry itself to do damage. It's more of the ramming and the sheer brutality of good close range torpedoes that kind of cripple them. But we're gonna stick with the Apocalyse because, in all honesty, this is perhaps my favorite ship in the game. It's just really difficult to utilize. And actually, let me go to the ship viewer to just to admire it a little bit. Because yeah, it's a pure lance battery type of fleet, and it even has where's the trait? The ability to greatly enhance its lance range with the lock-on stance. Which may not seem all that drastic when you think about lances in general, but considering these things only have 9,000 range, it's kind of essential. This thing is almost exclusively going to be using the lock-on stance just for that additional range. Otherwise, it's going to go the way of the Gothic cruiser, where that ship is never really used outside of its point cost, how much cheaper it is compared to everything else. Since 9,000 range lances are not very useful, because you still have to get through the shields before you can even benefit from the armor piercing of the lances in general. And when they're already in combat range with macro cannons and pretty much any weapon in the game, even mega cannons for crying out loud, that really deflates the value of these, at least for the Gothic cruiser. And in recent chats with Chaos, also in effect since the Slaughter cruisers, since it doesn't really demonstrate or explain what the Slaughter's lances are, but they're technically a 9,000 unit range lance as well. It just doesn't show on here for the merged macro batteries. So, the only thing that keeps the Slaughter going is the excessive speed that it has, on top of all the macro batteries with the faster rate of fire, kind of the slight damage buff it gets as a result of the shorter range. But not really the case for the lances themselves, since I don't think they get a rate of fire increase as a result of that. But either way, I'm taking this fleet again, especially with the Apocalyse, because it helps to handicap me a tiny bit, and I get to play with a dear fleet that I had enjoyed immensely, and it did perform incredibly well when I first play tested with this fleet too. Maybe not so much now with at least the dwindling player base we had before, but that might be a different story now. So let's get to it. Alright, right off the bat, we get someone named Trickster, Adeptus Mechanicus, so this could always be fun, getting to use my Nova cans against the Mechanicus. The only downside though, even if they're fielding battleships, they have high energy turn, and my Apocalyse does not. So, this is going to be a weird fight, because Mechanicus kind of want to commit to a long range fight, because they don't have the boarding potential, or at least the troop capacity, to handle the damage on their own. At least they'll get crippled incredibly quickly, so this is definitely going to be odd. And I am wondering how I want to do my fleet formation. Because without a doubt, I think I'm going to keep them together. Because the concentrated fire to lances, on top of, I think, do these have a, well, with lock-on stance, 11% chance is nothing to scoff at when there's like 12 shots we're talking about here. Well, 12 shots when you include both sides, to be fair, but it's a respectable critical hit chance, but I know the battleship for Mechanicus is far superior. And I do also wonder if I want the micro warp jump, because that can be really good for the Apocalypse as well, since it does negate, to a limited extent, the slow turning speed of this ship. And I can use my frigates to help complement that quite well. But, let's see, why am I not silent running? Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button, that explains it. It's been a while, what can I say? It's actually been almost 2 weeks, it feels like, since I did an actual YouTube video. So I apologize if the performance or playstyle may not be up to what you may be expecting here. But again, that's probably another way to help balance, or at least handicap myself if these are newer players we're likely going to face. So I think it benefits. I think it benefits the oh god, I'm going to have to unhook my monitor. I have my second monitor, as a result I can't scroll to the right, so just give me a moment here. Okay, I apologize if that did anything onto the stream, the recording itself, but yeah, that's a little bit problematic trying to control that. Oh, and it looks like triple battleship fleet. So, they have the mobility advantage just because the high energy turn, but I am wondering how I want to confront this, because I do want to grab this objective, because why the hell not? And actually, I am wondering if I could do some damage here. I have torpedoes coming. I just need to give the fighters some time to properly screen, though. And we have a frigate on the right.
Heading acknowledged.
I don't think that's enough leeway, considering the short burn torpedoes, if I'm honest.
Setting course.
But I am going to spread these ships out a little bit to help
Ship ready.
with the, what is it? I don't know what I'm trying to say. To at least make it easier to dodge the Nova cannons, and they are evading, so they're responding appropriately.
Course engaged.
Just got to be very careful
strategic area.
of weaponry.
We wait your command.
Alright, so just okay. Spraying them out could be helpful here if I can get some shots on pretty early. And they only have 3 Nova cannons,
We serve.
which I can work with here.
Engaging engines.
Again, I just need to actually engage them.
The enemy
So let's
has
keep an
seized a
eye
strategic area.
on the range of my weaponry, which is still relatively close.
Your orders.
What I like most is if they try and get greedy and grab this point, my Armageddons could probably run
The
down that
enemy has
battleship and
seized
kill
a
it really
strategic
quickly.
area.
I am worried about Nova cannons, but this will prompt a response if they fire on my Apocalypse. I was a little weary about firing because I can't move the ship is the main problem.
The Emperor. Changing course.
But let's see about firing torpedoes. Just 1 or
Underway.
2.
We wait your command.
And as a result, let's try to avoid these the
Setting
best we
course.
can. Because once the shields are
Your
down, it
orders?
helps. I just need to
Engaging
spot.
engines.
Okay, so they have a light cruiser hitting as well. And that might force a repair if I get at least one
Wait your
hit
command.
with the Meltas. Sadly, not going to happen here, but
We serve.
I can scan a pulse.
Heading acknowledged.
The Lances immediately killed the shield, so that's a bit of a thing to be mindful of. And I am revealed, but we are
Your
doing a
orders?
lot of damage to him, so I'm not really worried.
Changing
I just
course.
got to spread out the damage as much as I can here.
Changing course.
Oh, you're on group order, so I was wondering why the hell you weren't moving.
Coordinates acknowledged.
Alright,
Ship ready.
We'll force them out there. That'll prompt a response.
We
And
wait your command.
as soon as they boost or anything like that, it should scan our pulse to be fair.
Enemy sighted. Aye, Admiral.
Alright, get to hiding.
Energy turn.
Bad time to lose the engines, but we can correct this some.
Burn retros. Coordinates acknowledged.
And we do know there are frigates around. Oh, there they are.
Acquiring new vector.
Can actually kill the ships is the big question, though.
All guns fire at will.
Because I do need to focus my fire quite a bit. And dang it. Yeah, I'm doing a terrible job controlling this one. Alright, easily dodge the Nova cans.
Setting course.
Do need to be mindful
Wait your command.
of, what is it? If they're Eye of the Omni signs, is the main thing.
Course engaged.
Thankfully, it's not a big factor, but
Ship ready.
alright.
Enemy sighted.
We can dodge that.
Setting course.
I want the Nova cans, but with no hotkeys, this makes it a little
Your
trickier.
orders? Aye, Admiral. All ahead, full. We wait
Now,
your
I wish I
command.
was closer for, dang it,
Our boarders
inconvenient
have caused
timing
internal damage.
of
We
the
serve.
engines getting crippled, but can we at least get some torpedoes in? Not likely.
All is lost. Ship ready.
I do have rally. We do. I just need to be able to focus my damage a little bit better.
Understood.
And that boarding could, well, with the deck not really destroyed, doesn't help me all that much.
Course. Aye, Admiral.
Can I get torpedoes in? Yeah, the deck's now temporarily damaged, so unless you're willing to burn your rally, this is probably pretty good for me.
Retros.
The enemy is occupied 25% of strategic points. You have seized a strategic.
Yeah, let's have some fun with this. Those were not Meltas. I wish some of them were.
Aye, Admiral. Engaging engines.
No.
Your orders?
I have repairs. I have more damage to do. Okay, you did burn your rally, so you, and with the fire results, we have a good opportunity of doing some stuff here.
Targeting enemy vessel.
Light them on fire for me. And now that we're in the middle of both of them, that maximizes my damage potential quite a bit. Flagship is out of the equation, but sadly did not get the ram, but not a big deal,
Ready.
considering the trade.
Changing course. We wait your command. Execute high energy.
Alright, that was a bit tenuous at first, but I think we got managed. Especially with the flagship about to die, I have shields to take the Nova cans really well. And their crew is mutinying everywhere.
Your orders? Heading acknowledged.
Now, let's deal with our light cruisers, shall we? And prioritize the deck.
Burn retros. Setting course.
You're pretty much out of the fight, but let's just
We serve.
enjoy killing everything.
Maximum burn.
Since we have that opportunity. I am messing up with my controls some, though. Alright. Again, that was a little tenuous. They were actually doing well on the damage front. But, hell, even the torpedoes didn't really do a whole lot of damage, so it's really the morale damage that screws them over there. I want to argue. The fire assaults, the Kulexus Assassin, these things helped a ton for me. And they had access to everything, as far as skills and upgrades, so that was surprisingly scary for the brief period, because I was worried things were going to fall apart for me at first. Alright, Necron this time around. I'm pretty certain we encountered McBook plenty of times before. I just couldn't for the life of me recall what kind of opponent or caliber of opponent we have to expect. But with lances and torpedoes, I do have a lot of potential armor-piercing weaponry. Just not... Well, my melted torpedoes are going to be useless, is the sad fact, so I can't just burn them down with their one weakness. And sadly... Oh, Mick Book was the Adeptus Mechanicus player. Okay, I'm remembering now. So, I wonder if they're out of their comfort zone with that said. They played Imperial Navy, they played Mechanicus. So, this might be a good time. It might be. Now, do I have an easy way to tell where my dictator is? There you are. Because I'm trying to look very carefully at the lance platforms because it kind of sticks out a bit to tell if that's the dictator or not, but the hangar bays are also kind of sticking out to a vague extent. Otherwise, I really do want my battleship in front kind of to soak the damage because after all, the higher critical hit resistance is kind of complements that a little bit. And with the higher mobility of the battle cruisers, you think I would be able to deflect shots really well. At least have them in front for when the shields go down. Although, do I need microwarp jump? Because disruption bomb is not really useful here. Supercharged void shield probably be the best I could think of. So that way, maybe I can afford not having the Apocalypse being so tightly, at least so close to the rest of the fleet. It has a little more longevity that way. Especially if they're going to use the, what is it, dispersed arc propagator or whatever the heck, whatever that stance is that allows their lightning arcs, their macro weaponry to kind of split and hit all ships in range. Colex's Assassin is still useful here. Short burn torpedoes is kind of important. I don't really have macro cannons to justify the armor piercing weaponry though. So I'm going to try to forfeit that as a result.
Coordinates acknowledged.
And because of Colex's Assassin, although I would like to destroy engines to minimize the jump potential. So 4 frigates.
Ready.
I honestly do wonder, is that 2 battleships or not?
Fury interceptors in flight.
Or is there something else hidden in the gas cloud? Kind of like what we're used to with the mass recall. Having one ship hidden in the gas cloud to just use as a mass recall for when things start getting rough. And judging by speed, I'm going to say they're not double battleships at least.
We wait your command.
Now, when do I want to fire torpedoes though? Because if I could burn
Understood.
a Star Pulse generator really early
Aye, Admiral.
and start getting close range before it recharges, that would be the key circumstance.
Course engaged.
With what, a
The
2
enemy
minute,
has
3 minute
seized a
cooldown.
strategic area.
I just gotta get past this dang celestial body before it even becomes a
Underway.
possibility though.
You have seized a strategic area.
Okay, so just a safe cruiser there. Sadly, they shot down the fighters.
Enemy sighted.
And I do have lances to really terrify them, so I'm not too
Understood.
worried.
Ship ready.
Let's see, you were hitting, so
Coordinates acknowledged.
The enemy has seized
just
a
fall
strategic
through and
area.
damage what you can.
We wait your command.
I'm not going to get to do a whole lot of damage,
Acknowledged.
but I think I could still continue to hit them at
Orders.
least.
We serve.
Now, I should start boosting and just start grabbing these points pretty soon. Even the odds a little bit, and
The enemy
sadly,
has seized
that's
a
good without a
strategic
doubt
area.
survive even with the lance fire, but
We serve.
I just want to
Course
see
engaged.
if they are going to stay in the gas cloud or not.
Engaging.
Because I could
engines.
start firing on them right away. Yeah, I pretty much can.
Heading acknowledged.
They are flying out of range though, and I didn't get the other one.
Setting course. Aye, Admiral. Changing course.
So all we have to do is start grabbing the points and work from there.
Your orders. Changing
And we know the
course.
ship is potentially going over to grab my point behind me. Potentially.
You have seized a strategic area.
But I'm going to scan our pulse in a moment to kind of confirm
Enemy
that.
sighted.
And that will have them really scared. And I'll just steal this point from them while backing off.
Ship ready. Underway.
And I do have Nova cannons for this, but I need to aim it really well.
Aye, Admiral. Setting course.
So that's a good amount of damage there.
Your orders.
It is spread out though, so
serve.
I would like to shoot that one there, but the celestial body's in the way, sadly.
Engaging engines.
Ship ready.
I could have launched bombers as well, to be fair, but
Engaging engines.
let's at least reveal this one ship quickly.
Enemy sighted.
We serve.
Alright, focus down that. So there are 3
Ship
ships,
ready.
one hanging back for the lightning arc.
Enemy sighted.
And you jumped, so
You
let's
have
keep that in
seized a
mind.
strategic area.
Heading acknowledged.
And actually, let's actually start engaging.
Ship ready. Underway.
Start doing some damage while your fighters are out.
Changing course.
That was badly timed, but
We wait your command.
I could still hit them. They're not grabbing the point, so freelance damage for me, and
All ahead full.
let's
Impossible,
recharge
Admiral.
this as much as we can.
We wait your command.
I think I'm still gonna lose
Underway.
2/3 of my crew here in a moment. Nope, I rolled lucky on the dice there some,
We wait your command.
and I still have 3 points, so
Force engaged.
let's actually get my frigates in a more useful position now. Because I did a good amount of damage here. I only have 1 fighter squadron left, so let's keep that in mind. But
Understood.
until they start pulse generator,
We wait your
I
command.
should be okay here. I just gotta recall that thing in a hurry.
Aye, Admiral.
Actually, I don't even need to move.
Burn retros.
Just get ready to recall this thing quickly, since I have been squandering my first 2 fighters.
Enemy sighted.
But I do have a bit of a timer. Another minute, maybe a minute and a half roughly.
We serve.
So I'm not too worried.
Enemy sighted. Ship ready.
Alright, just get going, get the hiding,
Underway.
and just finish these off, and ideally protect this ship as a bonus.
Course engaged. We serve.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic
I'm
points.
sadly not in range for... Well, if I could permanently destroy the engine, that's a big deal. That would force a mass recall of some
Setting
kind.
course.
Course
I do need
engaged.
to get ready for the flank maneuver that might be going on, though. Actually, let's see, with your deck destroyed, you don't even have a star pulse generator. I did not consider that fact,
Strategic points.
since it wasn't originally like that for
We wait
Armada
your
2.
command. Enemy sighted.
Okay, so interestingly, we have a Scourge that hasn't been launching his fighters at all.
Sighted. Maximum burn.
Alright,
Setting course.
so we could just disengage, get our range, and just conceal ourselves.
Enemy sighted.
Sadly, I missed with the plasma bomb, sadly. So a little unfortunate.
Burn retros.
And that's not going to do too much on its own, so...
Ship ready.
Because really, that should have been activated when they were doing damage to me earlier. Or at least when I was so close range, to help get some extra value out of it.
Changing course.
And I still have 3 points, but
Ready.
Your orders.
it's just a really awkward angle for me right now.
Starhawks loaded and sent.
Execute high energy turn. Changing course.
That was perfectly timed by them.
We serve.
Now, let's try and finish this off, and at least start killing off some of these ships.
Underway.
Because the jump is probably going to happen here in a moment.
Target locked in.
You have accumulated 50% of strategic points.
Ship ready. Engaging engines.
Alright.
All ahead full.
So they burnt that jump there. That gives me a lot more breathing room, to be honest. So that's not really a bad thing yet.
Burn retros.
I just gotta actually hit these frigates some more for this to really stick.
Damage team, begin repairs now.
And we'll rally in a moment. Very effective.
Coordinates acknowledged.
Now force that to mutiny. Continue to do damage. And for some reason I thought my shields were down. So that supercharged void shield was not worth its weight. And we still have 3 points to our name. So we're in good shape. Now let's just cripple and get a tally where my frigates are.
Ship ready. Starhawks
I'm still wondering where the actual hold that thought. I am losing crew a bit, so I do need to manage that some. Especially with me having no torpedoes available at the moment. But we can ram you. We can fire torpedoes in a moment. Dang it, that's not what I want.
burn retros.
Changing course.
Now, let's make this hurt.
Understood.
I do need to disengage, though,
Aye, Admiral.
because otherwise this is going to be a lot of damage to my fleet really quickly.
We serve.
Setting
I am
course.
probably going to lose this ship, but I kind of relegate to death already.
Initiate
Since
emergency
it doesn't really
repair.
have much of torpedoes and anything for me, I just gotta focus fire a little bit better. And no generators on you is a bit of a problem.
We serve. Coordinates
Alright,
acknowledged.
Falchion, get to moving. They are regenerating health, but
Engaging
I do
engines.
have some focus fire. It's gonna be a while before I can even recharge my shields, though.
Starhawks loaded and sent.
And I want the flagship, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, and that's even worse, because I can't use my Kulex's Assassin to force a mutiny either.
Your orders?
Changing course. Burn retros.
So you're almost dead.
Target locked in.
So if we could kill you, that's pretty
Setting
good.
course.
Aye, Admiral.
Eh. And at the same time, enjoy some free ramming damage on this ship, because that wasn't much of a
Engaging
jump,
engines.
if I were so honest.
Your orders.
The enemy
Oh,
has
all my ships survived. How the hell did that
50%
happen?
strategic points. You have
Let's actually put the ship to good
75%
use then.
of strategic points.
Changing course.
So flagship's gone. That leaves one more capital ship, and I am going to get repairs pretty damn soon, but the damage is definitely felt now on the battleship. Partly my own doing, but let's not talk about that fact, alright? Because the wreckage right now is also kind of in the way. 5 seconds and I'll be in the clear. I can regenerate the hull, or regenerate the shields. Oh no, permanently damaged, so can't do that now.
Shark assault
So,
boats on their way.
so much for regenerating the shields, but with the Scourge gone, I'm in good position. And they burnt that on assault boats. Oh no, you're not.
We wait your command.
I wish I had lightning strikes available, but maybe if I was a little more diligent, I could have killed it right off the bat.
We
Yeah,
serve.
if I was a little more diligent, I could have just killed that, but I do feel like maybe they were a little inexperienced with Necron, since the Scarab Swarm should have been immediate, I want to argue, when they mass recalled on top of me. Because they kind of missed out on maybe 100 points of damage, which, how close 2 of my cruisers were, could have really made the difference there. If I were so honest. But yeah, I mistimed that a tiny bit, because I could, again, the big thing with short burn torpedoes, the extra speed, if I'm within 1,000 unit range or before I get within minimum range where the torpedoes don't do damage, it's almost impossible for the torpedoes to actually get destroyed by the star pulse generator, just because my torpedoes will hit them before the charge up even finishes. And that, if I was a little more diligent on that, could have been a death sentence for him right on that alone. And sadly, I got almost no value out of the Kulex's assassin. I kind of wish a little bit that I had the armor-piercing ammo or even the armor to the shields, which probably would have been pretty practical in that exchange too. Alright, Space Marines. This is a matchup I haven't seen in almost forever, it feels like. Since maybe that means Space Marines are just not popular anymore? It feels like it a little bit, since the most predominant type of Space Marine fleet was really the Prowl Lance-centric type of fleet, and a lot of that is so they can abuse, or at least take full advantage, of the disruption overcharge, really. I don't think I've seen any other type of fleets outside maybe the occasional double battle barge, which can without doubt be incredibly scary. Although it does leave an interesting predicament. Do I even bother with disruption overcharge? Or not disruption bomb? Because if they have cruisers or anything that's not a battleship, they have like almost no shield strength at all. So I don't think that's worth having. They're immune to morale damage, and sadly armor piercing is not going to be very effective for me. Which does make me wonder if I want to get power rams. Although extended sensors is really good for this type of fleet too. It could be justified here. It helps protect my frigates a little bit more, because they kind of were left a little bit vulnerable for most of the last match there, if not taking a little bit of damage from even against Mechanicus, so I like to think this will help protect them some. Although I do have a Dictator to help deal with boarding torpedoes and fighters quite a bit, so I'm just... Okay, Dictator's on the right here. I see the slight difference in the ship variation, or at least the silhouette, but it's also it always seems to put the Dictator on the right regardless, since it is the 4th cruiser I put when assembling the fleet. So that might be a factor there. Do I really want all my cruisers in back, with that said? I don't think I do, because after all, the Apocalyse is slower than all the cruisers, so it's going to be a little tricky. I'm going to complicate my maneuvering a little bit. Excuse me there, my throat was kind of breaking on me a little bit there. And there is again, Dictator on the right. I do have to be careful, very careful. I am wondering if I want micro warp jump. Oh, I don't have time to think about it anymore, but that's fine. It's one of my negative traits, I guess, just talking too damn much and not focusing on the game. But I'm assuming 1 battle barge and 1 or 3 strike cruisers is what it's looking like here.
Ship ready. Ceasefire.
So the big question is, what do I prioritize? Probably the strike cruisers, because they have less shields again, and with their higher mobility they are a bigger threat.
We wait your command.
And it remains to be seen what kind of ships they're utilizing too.
Heading acknowledged.
And I don't want to boost forward, because that's going to prime possible boarding torpedoes for me to worry about. Don't know why my throat's having a hard time all of a sudden, but we'll go with it.
Engaged.
Just another handicap to add to the video. Not one that helps with the gameplay though, it just hurts the commentary itself.
Ship ready.
The
But
enemy has seized a
the
strategic
plasma bomb
area.
should be incredibly good against the battle barge at least, but I don't realistically expect to hit these strike cruisers until their engines go down with it. So I'm probably just going to hold off on it entirely,
Ship ready.
with that said. Let's see.
Aye, Admiral.
You have
I
seized a
gotta be
strategic
mindful to
area.
recall my fighters as soon as possible too.
Understood.
And actually, let's just do a little bit of light torpedo fire.
Enemy sighted.
Probably not needed at all, if I'm going to be completely honest, but torpedoes, hangar bays, alright.
Serve.
Yeah, that was probably a waste, I would argue,
Heading acknowledged.
because that just burnt my torpedo charge, and they are going to really easily dodge that, maybe. Now, let's get ready to actually fire on them.
The enemy has seized
Okay, so there's a
strategic
frigate,
area.
I think, there.
Underway.
I don't want to scanner pulse yet because I'm going to need it for when they get into the gas cloud eventually. And I do know they have
Engaging
torpedoes, so...
engines. All ahead full.
So with my fighter bay back, and brace for impact being a possibility, maybe I could do something here. And I
Ship
know
ready.
you have micro warp jump, don't you?
Setting course.
So let's be mindful of that fact.
Aye, Admiral.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
I know there's a frigate around. Actually, there's a way to watch for the micro warp jump with that said.
Course engaged.
I'm just not going to know where they're going to deploy. It's the
Your
only
orders?
catch here.
Coordinates acknowledged.
Alright, you go there. Still no micro warp jump, so let's keep that in mind.
Maximum burn.
And if you could conceal yourself, that'd be
Course
helpful here.
engaged.
Okay, so you did get hit by
Await your
torpedoes. And I want to make you suffer.
Underway.
Your orders.
Ideally, destroy this and limit their possibilities a bit.
Understood.
I don't think I can actually kill it though, but
Changing course.
it scares them quite a bit, at least.
Ship ready.
Yep, I may have overcommitted my boosters a bit. I want to conceal myself some, but
We serve.
I guess I'm grabbing the objective later.
Changing course. Understood.
So that's going to prompt a response of some kind.
Engaging.
Fury interceptors in flight.
So you get into the gas cloud immediately.
Engaging engines. Aye, Admiral.
Because you can do it.
Course engaged.
Alright, so your engines have gone there.
Setting course.
Stasis bomb's doing its thing here. And again, gotta watch for the micro warp jump, which I'm not seeing yet. There is a visual indicator for when it happens.
Heading acknowledged.
Okay, I thought there was, but I could be wrong. I guess I was wrong in that
Underway.
regard.
Setting course.
And this is where I wish I had the micro warp jump, but it would be easy to kind of negate that anyway.
Heading acknowledged.
Engaging engines.
And I want to grab the points of
We
bonus.
serve.
Engaging target.
Come on, please destroy the cruiser.
Changing course.
I don't know if I had my priorities set up wrong, but
Understood. All ahead full.
let's see what we can do here.
Coordinates acknowledged. Your orders. Setting course.
So destroy this,
Aye, Admiral.
get protection, because we're going to need it.
Fury interceptors.
And I
in
do have
flight.
rally. I'm not worried, but I am going to get a lot of fire results in a moment.
Disengage. Disengage.
Understood.
Burn retros. Aye, Admiral.
Yep, this is going to hurt a little bit, if only a slight bit, but
Heading acknowledged.
alright. This is a bit odd, because yeah, thankfully it forced them off the boundary, which can be pretty good for me here. I did hurt myself though, but I'm at full morale. That's not a huge issue yet. I'm more concerned about hitting with torpedoes in a moment, since I have that opportunity coming up. You lost complete control of your ship, so you know what that's going to mean in a moment.
Coordinates acknowledged. Maximum burn.
The enemy has
Just don't hit myself too much. And I really should have used melted torpedoes in all honesty, but
Changing course. Ship ready. Course engaged.
that's what this one's going to be for. With that said,
All ahead full. Underway.
There, so that solves that problem there. That dealt with their biggest threat almost single-handedly.
Understood.
Only downside is I could have used more melt
We
torpedoes.
serve.
Alright.
Impossible, Admiral.
I was hoping for lightning strike, but
Engaging engines.
I don't think the boring's gonna hit in time, is it?
Ship ready.
Okay, it did. I'm wrong, but the fire assault is still gonna kill it.
25% of strategic points.
Unless they can repair, I'm not worried about you.
Ship ready.
They lost 2 ships. I don't know where the flagship is, but it might... Again, it'll probably die in a moment.
Coordinates acknowledged.
I'm still wondering if it's alive or not, but...
Setting course.
Where was the frigate behind? Again, there is a visual indicator for where it might have gone, but I did not pay that much attention. But
We wait your command.
we can grab points. We got a huge advantage still. Because again, the Apocalypse was kind of my weakest link, if I were to be so honest.
The enemy has seized a
Since it
strategic
didn't really have the
area.
mobility, and in that matchup it definitely was a liability to an extent.
Understood.
So just grab the
We
points
wait your
and
command.
collect ourselves. And outside this one Hitton ship,
You have seized a strategic area.
yeah, let's just see where the battleship's hiding.
We serve.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I can evade these to an extent. I just gotta get all my battleships, all my cruisers together to mitigate that some. Well,
Your
actually,
orders?
I should be using my the gas cloud for crying out loud.
Heading acknowledged.
It was bad timing to launch the fighters, I will admit, though. Perfect. I could not ask for a much better result.
Understood. We serve.
So that completely deflected that. And now,
Course engaged.
we will turn to engage them. Because I think they burnt all their torpedoes, at least boring torpedoes at the very least.
Aye, Admiral.
And otherwise, let's see where everything else is hitting, because we should grab this point easily. They do have a point advantage, but... Okay, there's where the flagship is, so you know what that means?
Ship ready.
We could just steal these points and start pressuring our advantage.
Underway.
And I could fire torpedoes if I want to limit their movement a tiny bit, but... Again,
Setting
200 shield
course.
points, I'm not too worried. I just gotta actually start hitting them in a meaningful manner. And recall my fighters, because I kind of forgot about them a
wait your
tiny
command.
bit. They would be really important for focusing down the battleship. Yep. They cannot commit to really anything at this point. And I can deal with frigates
We
really
serve.
well. I just gotta reveal it, of course. Which is partly why I would have liked my fighters
Aye,
recalled
Admiral.
sooner. Because we're about to get this. And we know where all the ships are hiding until the battleship
Understood.
decides to
You
micro-warp
have
jump.
seized a strategic area.
Yeah, we know where it's hiding.
Coordinates acknowledged. Maximum.
Okay, I know
burn.
what to do. Because if this is the same frigate that was crippled earlier,
Underway.
this will be simple as
Your
is.
orders?
Yeah, you're just gonna fly right into
Heading acknowledged.
your death. Nope, this is a different one.
Enemy sighted.
The enemy has accumulated 50% of strategic points.
Course
Now.
engaged.
Not really needed, but we got
Setting course.
a lot of possibility here. And you don't have prow lances, so I'm not worried about that so much.
Engaging engines. We serve.
Well, that wasn't very smart. Because where are my bombers?
Starhawks loaded and sent.
Because this thing could die immediately if I do this right.
Coordinates acknowledged.
Aye, Admiral.
Alright.
Course engaged.
There was a reason I held on to that, and you probably have your repairs, so this is not going to do much. But this will.
Course engaged.
Burn retros.
Underway.
Now, finish them off for me, please.
We
And I
wait your
don't
command.
have armor piercing, sadly. But we win this match. Simply put. It's a shame the fire assaults didn't get the kill I wanted, but They could have had the repair available at an inconvenient moment. That's probably what happened there.
Coordinates acknowledged.
Now, let's end this off on style. I just wish I had the regular damage torpedoes for this.
Understood.
You had... Oh, I thought I told you to use your boosters, but it didn't trigger.
Burn retros.
I was really hoping for a double whammy there. Well. That is game. That was a fun match. Although, again, the Apocalypse probably could have really benefited from that micro-warp jump with how it played out, but the trick to keep in mind with the micro-warp jump, any boarding result that triggers, which is really unfortunate that shields had to be up, so I couldn't do a really fast lightning strike to cancel it, would have negated it, and my Apocalypse would have just had a pretty useless skill at that point. But it was still fun otherwise.